Hey guys, how's it going? Hope you enjoyed episode 7 of season 7 of the Clone Wars. So this episode, once again, was just another one establishing Ahsoka's character arc and really building why she distanced herself so much from the Jedi. Of course, I know many people like myself want to see more action from her and see her Force abilities, just tenfold, but we're building up to that moment, so we have to be a little bit patient. Now, basically just think of these episodes as building up to the moment where Ahsoka really unleashes and we get to see her in action, which I think is going to be hopefully the next episode when she goes to Mandalore, because we see Bo-Katan in this episode and she tells her Mandos to keep an eye on Ahsoka because they have a common enemy, which is Maul. At least I assume. So as I'll explain in this breakdown later in the end, I believe Bo will try to get Ahsoka out of jail, only in return if she defeats Maul and rids him of Mandalore. So in this episode, we basically see more character development with Ahsoka, Rafa, and Trace. And one of the really important things from this episode is that we find out exactly why Trace and Rafa don't like the Jedi. So, they explain that their parents were actually killed as a result of the Jedi hunting down Zero the Hutt. Now, Rafa goes on to say that a couple of years ago there was a prison break on Coruscant by some gangster named Zero. The Jedi followed them through the city, through the portal, jumping from speeder to speeder, and finally, when some red-eyed alien protecting Zero, who was Cad Bane, blasted the engines of a ship, the Jedi tried to steer it clear of a populated landing platform. But in doing so, they had to make the, lesser of two evils decision and moved it into the wall of the portal, which destroyed Rafa and Trace's home and killed their parents as well. The Jedi walked up to Rafa afterwards and told her that she had to make a choice, but not to worry, the Force will be with you always. Ahsoka hears this story and is deeply wounded by it, knowing that the Jedi would do such a thing, but in the end, it's really a heavy toll that the Jedi have to take to be able to do such things like this and make these decisions. On one hand, you have a populated area, which, if they land there, they'll be killing hundreds of people, maybe thousands. Or they can kill just 2 people, and really, I suppose in this situation, it's the lesser of 2 evils. So the decision was made by the Jedi, and in the end, people died. So this caused a lot of grief for Trace and Rafa, and in the end, made them steer clear of the Jedi, if anything, hating them. This is another reason why Ahsoka is not using her Force powers around them, because she doesn't want them to immediately hate her and just brand her as a Jedi, because they don't know her story and she doesn't know theirs. Well, I guess she kind of does now, but you know what I mean. Also, one of the reasons she's not using her Force powers is because it would undermine so much more character development between the 3 here. If she used her Force powers, the jig would be up. She would reveal who she really is, she's a Jedi or an ex-Jedi, and there would be no more small talk conversation, which really in the small talk convo is what can allow us to see the different subtleties in her character development when she acknowledges certain stories like this one. You can see her looking down and really understanding the pain that the Jedi caused them. Just another nail in the coffin as to why she separated herself from the Jedi. Then the Pykes take Rafa and Trace individually for questioning, which is when Ahsoka uses the Force finally to open the gate when no one's looking. She does so, and they all try to escape. It's really just a lot of escaping and fighting, and Ahsoka looks like a total badass as she just fights a group of Pykes all by herself. You can really see that it's not just her Force abilities that makes her powerful, but in fact, it's her abilities to fight too, which she learned from Anakin. While the Pykes are gaining on them, Trace blasts some canisters which explode, and we actually get to hear the Wilhelm scream, which was a really nice Easter egg, which is notorious for being in Star Wars movies. So while they're trying to make it into the city, a separation forms from one platform to the next, and the Pykes are behind them. Trace tries to make the jump, which is now even bigger, but Ahsoka has to use the Force to actually get her to safety. And neither of them really understand what just happened. Trace is kind of just like, wow, I can't believe I made that. I told you I'd do it, when in actuality, it was Ahsoka. Trace encourages Ahsoka to make the jump even though the gap is much larger now, whispering to Trace that, hey, let's go. She's not going to make it. Ahsoka uses the Force and Force jumps way beyond them even when they're surprised as to how she did it. She says, we have no time to talk about that. Let's go. So they do, they finally make it into the city, they get captured again, when we get to see Bo-Katan and her Mandalorians with her, which now shows us that this is going to tie nicely into Mandalore and maybe shows us how Ahsoka actually gets there. The episode ends at the same place it started, with them in jail again by the Pykes, which I thought was, I wasn't really a fan of that, but This at least allows us to see that Bo-Katan is going to get her out of jail. Probably take her to Mandalore to get rid of Maul. She'll probably say something like, we have a proposition for you. If you can help us get rid of Maul, then, you know, we'll get you out of here or something. That's kind of really the only way I can see it go down. But of course, that's just a theory. As we hear Bo say that they have a common enemy when she sees Ahsoka running through the streets, and orders for her Mandos to keep an eye on her. So I can only expect what's going to happen in the next episode. I think they're going to go to Mandalore, and we're finally going to get to see some good action with Ahsoka and Maul. And maybe the Martez sisters will finally realize who Ahsoka really is, after all. Let me know what you guys think will happen in the next episode of Clone Wars. Let me know what you thought of this one as well, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Until then, remember, the Force will be with you, always.
Fulfill